What's up, A to Z Sports Nashville? Happy Friday morning. Got a three-man weave for you this morning. An exciting conversation. We're doing the AFC South Positional Rankings debate. And we have got a special guest with us this morning to help us do so. Destin Adams, you know him, you love him, maybe you hate him, covers the Colts for us here at A to Z Sports. And Destin and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Let's do a couple of articles where we debate on the AFC South positional rankings, see what we agree on, see what we disagree on. We had our first one come out. The offensive article came out yesterday. Our defense comes out today. And we figured it'd be a great show topic to debate live here on the morning show, our agreements and disagreements when it comes to ranking the AFC South. So, Destin, hello. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I think I'm more excited to meet the people that may hate me than love and like me. But really excited to be here. Excited to break down this division.
We're happy to have you, and joined as always by Ryan here on a Friday. Ryan, I'm going to have you tell the folks what they need to do, but good morning to you as well.
Good morning to you. I know Destin's happy this morning with the big Indiana Pacers victory yesterday.
How about that?
He's ready to debate today, Easton. So you better get ready, my friend. You better get yourself ready because I know Destin is going to come in hot on it. Before we go, guys, getting going there in the morning. Don't forget to share the show. If you're watching, we're live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. If you're watching live on Facebook, make sure to hit that share button in the bottom right-hand corner and get it live on your feed. If you're watching live on YouTube, take that YouTube link, send it to a friend in your life or one of your favorite group chats. Just find that Tennessee Titans fan or AFC South fan, I guess, today, and let them know that A to Z Sports and live and talking positional rankings for the AFC South heading into the 2025 NFL season. You can also repost us on Twitter or X to help spread the word. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and leave a like on the show before we get going here on a wonderful Friday morning.
Yeah, let's get it started officially. Welcome into the A to Z Sports Morning Show, live on a Friday morning. We're live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links tweeted out segment by segment on our Twitter feed at ATOZ Sports. Follow us there. Follow us also on Instagram and TikTok for more Titans coverage. And leave a 5-star Google review for us for A to Z Sports. We appreciate you guys doing those. We got to thank our sponsors for making the show happen and helping out you guys at home. Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine, boneandjointtn.org. Yeah, it was astonishing just how plausible what happened last night with the Pacers was throughout the course of what was a 10, 15-point lead for the Thunder all night, and you get to halftime, and the Pacers have allowed 19 turnovers in the first half, the most by any NBA Finals team. Blah 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 blah. Who cares? You knew that you can have the first 47 minutes. Whoever you are, you can have them. They're all yours.
They can have the first 47 minutes and 58 seconds.
That's right. The last minute or the last 2 seconds, those belong to the Indiana Pacers. We know the drill at this point, and they are. Listen, Tyrese and the boys, they're rolling. I heard him last night. Him and Siakam walking off the court saying, "Let's get greedy. We didn't even play good tonight. Let's see if we can steal another one." And I don't know if there's such thing as a must-win game too, but buddy, it gets tough. It gets tough if you let the Pacers steal both of these and then head back to Indiana up to even 1-1 is a nasty start.
Can I tell you guys a secret that I'm not proud to share? Is that I actually went to sleep before the game ended last night, so I did not see the epic comeback. And I tell you that.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, when they got off to like the crazy start and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is just untouchable early in the game, I'm like, this game's over. Like, this game is over. I was just like,
you just haven't watched enough Pacers this year. You just haven't watched enough Pacers this year to know.
I haven't.
Nothing's ever over.
Tyrese Halliburton should have taught me throughout these playoffs that I should not have turned the TV off early. I agree 100%. Yeah.
It's a moral failing on your part. I say all that to say, Destin, I am, and I'd imagine many folks in the chat are with you when it comes to, well, maybe not everybody. Nick Ewing, maybe a big OKC fan. I am with you on the Pacers. The Pacers are the closest thing that I have to an NBA team because I'm not a huge NBA guy, and it's like, who am I pulling for the Grizzlies? Yes, sort of. But like I've only ever been to a Pacers game. I've been to 2 NBA games. They've both been Pacers games. So guess I'm a Pacers fan. They're also fun, and I enjoy fun basketball. And they're a small market, and I love a small market. We're going to talk about some other small markets this morning because it's an AFC South show. And
what a segue. That was
how about
great.
it? How about it? I do it for a living. There's some disagreements we have here that we're gonna have to separate now. The love fest over the Pacers is over, and it's time to discuss and debate positional rankings. We're gonna go all up and down each roster, offense and defense. So we have so much ground to cover. Let's not waste any more time. Ryan, you are going to be our lovely moderator. Maybe you're our Vanna White this morning. I don't know. However you want to frame yourself, you go right ahead. But you are going to be moderating today's discussion between Destin and I. We want to hear your thoughts on this as well. So even on positions where we agree, Ryan, if you are bold enough to disagree on something or to challenge our notions, by all means, speak up, let us know. And you folks in the chat, we're going to ask some questions for you guys along the way, but especially when Destin and I disagree on our rankings on a position group, we're going to present our cases and we're going to have you all in the chat decide whose opinion you think is correct, who makes the more compelling case. I am sure that Destin is at no disadvantage considering he is the Colts guy and I'm the Titans guy, and this is a Titans show. So, best of luck to him on what is clearly a level playing ground this morning. We're going to start with the quarterback. So I'll hand things off to you, Ryan, here. You can set the stage. No better place to start when it comes to positions than the most important position in the sport. And if we want to talk about the Colts being in last place, another great place to start. Spoiler, after yesterday's news, which we'll touch on, there's no question who is in fourth right now. Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, no, I am your attractive and very handsome co-host and moderator here. So I want to set the stage for not only the most important position in football, but the most important position in all of sports, I would argue, is the quarterback position, right? So we are starting, and as you mentioned, Easton, starting at number 4 and do an ascending order, because I'm not a descending order guy, because I'm not an animal, okay? Number 4, Indianapolis Colts. Number 3, your Tennessee Titans. Number 2, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 1 is the Houston Texans. And this was agreed upon, folks. So both Destin and Easton had the same exact ranking. So again, if I missed that one, Colts 4, 3 Titans, 2 Jaguars, 1 Houston Texans. No disagreement, but I want to start the obvious conversation here because we're going to get the chat involved in a minute or so. But I want us to get it started with maybe the most controversial take on this list here. And I know some folks in the chat are already thinking about it. Trevor Lawrence, number 2, he sucks. How could he possibly be over Cam Ward? Easton, you're the Titans guy. People are going to be mad at you on that one, but let's start the conversation there.
Well, and as Jeff asks in the chat, I do think it's important for us to set some parameters. Are we ranking starters? Are we ranking the room? Are we ranking potential? Are we ranking based on past performance or future expected results? Destin and I made a point to we didn't specify exactly what the interpretation was here. So there is some wiggle room for interpretation. I do think, though, based on having seen both of our rankings, Destin and I are doing this in a predictive manner. So it's not just based on what you've done. It's what we think you're going to do. And it's this year only. We're not talking about long-term contracts or anything like that. It's in 2025 who has the best room for this. And I tried to evenly weight starters and depth, right? So there are some positions where I lean on the depth, and we'll talk about it here in a minute, as kind of my tiebreaker. I see these starters as relatively comparable, but one of these teams, if any of these starters go down, is in real trouble. And the other one, I like who they have to back those guys up. So that's where there's some wiggle room. And I think that's important to point out. So not any hard lines on that. As for Trevor Lawrence above Cam Ward, and Destin, you can chime in if you disagree with any of this. I just think that there needs to be some deference to somebody who has already played in the NFL. And although he has played very up and down and is a very controversial player, and I think everybody would agree has been largely disappointing based on what we thought he was going to be, one of the best prospects to ever come out of college, first overall pick in the draft, somebody that did a lot of winning and was very impressive for a very long time in college. We knew them for a long time in college because they were always fantastic. Comes to the Jaguars and has been up and down on a team that is very up and down, but has done enough to me to show, hey, this guy's clearly an NFL starting quarterback. We have seen stretches of the highs of what he's capable of, and a lot of supporters of his are still chasing those highs. And he has done enough to earn a NFL Supermax contract that he is worth a gajillion dollars, because that is the level of quarterback that he market dynamics determined him to be. And so while I do think Cam Ward has every opportunity this year and all the ability in the world to surpass Trevor Lawrence on these rankings, I couldn't quite do it yet. So that's why I have him third.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing to remember here, and like Ryan said, we were in lockstep with these four. But I think the big thing to remember is that a lot of rookie quarterbacks don't come in and just set the league on fire. And I'm a big Cam Ward guy. I've been a big Cam Ward guy for a couple of years. Obviously, wasn't hoping that it would be in Tennessee where he would start his NFL career. But he's been a guy that I've watched a lot of over the years, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to be long term. But when you're looking at just how difficult it is for most rookie quarterbacks, especially quarterbacks that start on rosters that just aren't going to be up to par in terms of the average in the NFL, and maybe some Tennessee people won't like me saying that, but I think they were the number one pick for a reason in the end of the year, right? And I think Cam Ward is going to have a lot on his shoulders. I think it's almost unfair to put an expectation on him to come in and just have this Jaden Daniels, have this C.J. Stroud type first year. I think he's really talented, but I think the situation that Trevor Lawrence is in right now this year, I think it'd be hard for me to see Cam Ward over Trevor Lawrence, especially right now projecting. Is there a world by the end of the year that Cam Ward comes in and is just that guy right away and Trevor Lawrence continues to be in the middle of the NFL in terms of being a quarterback? It's possible, but I think the safest bet is that Trevor Lawrence is the second best quarterback in the AFC South right now.
And something we see all the time. Sorry, Ryan, just to address some things in the chat. We see this all the time. It's Titans fans, and I imagine Colts fans are probably this way, and I imagine Texans fans are probably this way. Any fans that want to rag on Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, you see Trevor Lawrence's career stats are actually the same as insert bad quarterback. And it's when you say that out loud, frankly, you're embarrassing yourself. Like I am begging you people to stop saying that, because you look really silly and you're making yourself sound dumb. You're making yourself sound dumb. I am begging you to use your eyeballs, to watch the games, to consider the circumstances, and to look at the players that we're talking about instead of just looking up their stats on Pro Football Reference and going based off that, because you sound ridiculous. Nobody in the world thinks that Daniel Jones, his career, is on par with Trevor Lawrence. What are we talking about? Stop it. Now, I do want to give you some opportunity this morning, Destin, to talk about the Daniel Jones of it all, based on the news that came out yesterday about Anthony Richardson. Is the Anthony Richardson is the book closed? Is it over? How are we feeling in Indianapolis today?
I mean, I don't think you can say it's over yet. I feel like we have to see if he actually misses time in training camp. So basically, my 2 cents on it yesterday, which Shane Steichen, love him as an offensive mind, probably one of the worst head coaches in the NFL at handling these type of situations to the media. Whenever given these type of questions, he has a hard time answering. So when everyone kept asking, will he be back for training camp? And he continued to say, we hope to have him back in training camp. It just sounds like he could miss the entire training camp, Shane.
Right. What does that mean?
What are we doing here? It came out afterwards that the expectation is that he's going to be back for the start of training camp. I think that's a way better outlook than will he be back in training camp. So it's hard to shut the door yet, just because if he's able to be there day one of training camp, then I still think you can enter camp and both guys are going to be on even playing field to earn the starting job. If he has to miss any time in training camp, though, I personally am ready to shut the door. I just don't see how a guy who has struggled to stay healthy at this point, a guy who just needs reps. Like you drafted this guy with hardly any starting experience in college, and he's had to miss so much time, whether that's the offseason, whether that's live game action. If you can't even be healthy for training camp just from throwing basically on air in OTAs and your shoulder feels sore like this, it's a tough spot. So we'll see how much time he plays in training camp. But I will say, with or without the injury yesterday, the Colts were going to be 4th in this ranking.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was our own Austin Stanley. He said, I don't know if you were on the show, but he talked about the amount of snaps that Anthony Richardson has had since his senior year of high school. And it is like
Right. It's astonishingly
1,600.
low.
It's like 1,600 snaps or something like that in the last 6 years, basically, right? Where it's just like 5 to 6 years. It's like, okay, well, at some point, there needs to be a conversation of, development, but also availability and all these types of conversations that are kind of intertwined. Good thing that you cut me off, sir, also, because that was literally my question I was going to ask Destin was about the
Okay.
Indianapolis Colts quarterback
Sorry
situation.
about that.
So no. We were also, our minds were also in lockstep on that one. So no many major disagreements here. I want to get the chat involved though, if we can here, about the quarterback conversation. So as we were pre-planning this show, and again, the rankings that both Easton and Destin have come with the quarterback position are Houston Texans at number 1 going into 2025, number 2 Jacksonville Jaguars, 3 Tennessee Titans, and 4 Indianapolis Colts. Our question to the chat is, what's most likely to change in this order in 2025? Now, obviously, a lot can change, right? We just had a conversation about Trevor Lawrence here. Trevor Lawrence now has a new head coach in Liam Cohen, who has developed a good reputation as an offensive mind. You like him in a better situation potentially moving forward into the rest of his Jacksonville Jaguars tenure. Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward, what does he look like in 2025? Does he have one of these remarkable rookie seasons that we've seen a couple guys have recently? Is he very up and down? The volatility of playing the position, the wide receiver group, and we'll get to that later for the Tennessee Titans, is still not great. It's still developing. It's still young in certain spots outside of Calvin Ridley. What does he look like as a rookie? And then also, I don't even know who starts for Indianapolis Colts for the majority of the season. I mean, I assume it's going to be Anthony Richardson, but who knows? So an injury happens. I don't know either. I don't know either. So
I did.
Yes. So I put into the chat and we're starting to populate already. But the question again for folks that are just joining us, what's most likely to change about this order in 2025? Houston Texans 1, Jacksonville Jaguars 2, Tennessee Titans 3, and Indianapolis Colts 4. What's the spot that you look like the team, the quarterback that you say could go way up, could go way down? Where's the volatility in that conversation here?
Yeah, Ryan, I'm going to send you the chat here in just a minute to see what the folks are saying. But while we let those answers pile in, I'll go ahead and give my answer. And I'd imagine this is going to be the most common answer. I think the thing most likely to change is that number 2 and number 3 flip. But I'll step in it a little bit here with the Titans fans. If you made me bet on it, I don't think they will. And that is not because I think Cam Ward is going to be bad. It is because I am quadrupling down on Trevor Lawrence, a guy that I have always been a defender of. I think that this is going to be his best year by a pretty significant margin. I think that he is clearly set up for success, better than he has been at any point in his career so far. I really like, unfortunately, I'm not happy about this, but I do really like what the Jaguars have done in terms of the infrastructure that they've changed this year. The fact that the NFL's resident cockroach Trent Baalke is now dead is fantastic. Dead to them, not actually dead. Sorry, Trent. The fact that they now no longer have the world's biggest bummer at the podium and a head coach, that just got sad and depressing, and it felt like the coach gave up in week 6 last year. I like Liam Cohen a lot. I like what he can do offensively for this team. And I like the fact that I think they have a tandem of receivers for Lawrence now that is, I don't know, like going to be, I think they could be a top 5 tandem in the entire league by the end of this year. Like, I think it could be outrageous and unstoppable and make Trevor's life really easy at times in Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. So I think that he's going to be really good. And he's going to clearly cement himself as the number 2 guy. And to point out the importance that I think Destin brought up with Cam Ward and rookie quarterbacks coming in and not, I think the last 2 years with CJ Stroud and Jaden Daniels has really set us up for failure, right? I wrote about this last week that if your expectation is those 2 guys, you've lost your mind and you're being really unfair to Cam Ward, because what you're talking about is expecting Cam Ward to have the 3rd consecutive rookie season where we're saying, is this the best rookie season we've ever seen? Because that's what we've been talking about with the last 2 guys, right? That was the conversation with those 2 guys at the end of their years. And so you can be a really good and promising rookie quarterback and not have to be debatably the best rookie quarterback we've ever seen. That's a crazy bar. Could he get there? Sure. But expecting that is outrageous. And if you're expecting something more reasonable like me, like I have said that if Cam Ward has not like a season like the Bears, but a season like Caleb himself, what the quarterback looked like, if he looks like Caleb did or better this year, I think that is a win. Caleb Williams ended up last year as like the 28th quarterback by DVOA. So like that's kind of the territory that if Cam Ward is the 25th or the 22nd best quarterback in the league, that's still a really promising rookie season for a guy, and it's still third. So I don't think it's going to flip. But to answer the question, if something is going to flip, I think it will be Cam Ward 2, Lawrence 3.
Well, and before Destin gives us his answer on why the Indianapolis Colts will be number 1 on this list following the season, we do want to go to the chat real quick to get the people involved, and then we'll kick it to Destin here. So we had Titan up _ Ohio says Titans jumped up to number 2. Titans Kyle agrees that 2 and 3 flip, so he thinks the Tennessee Titans will move up to number 2 in the AFC South. Ashley agrees, swap 2 and 3. Darius Horton agrees that Cam is moving up. He doesn't say if it's up to just 2 or up to 1, but Eric Castillo does. He says Titans go up to number 2, possibly number 1 with the big season. Imagine. That would be a crazy ascension.
Hard to imagine, but imagine.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, then it's going to be a fun time being a Tennessee Titans fan in the next few years. Kendall up to number 2. Titans up to number 2. We have a fun one here from Tall Texan who says Stroud falling from what? He's just the least smelly turd right now.
Y'all have lost your mind on CJ Stroud. Y'all have lost your mind.
We also had a 2 and 3 switch. Colts moved to 5, so somehow the imaginary team jumps them. That's hilarious.
That's on the table, I feel like. That feels reasonable, actually.
Here's an interesting one that we haven't gotten. Steven says Jacksonville Jaguars moved to 1. Houston Texans moved to 2. That's a spicy one. And I respect the spiciness on that one because Daniel Caribbean agrees Lawrence will pass CJ Stroud. That's interesting. Trevor Lawrence will be 4th on the list. So someone thought Trevor Lawrence was going to be number 1 a second ago. Now he's going to be number 4. So he's either going to rise or fall this year. Most people don't think he's going to stay the same. CJ Stroud drops to 2 from Chris. We had Titans slide to 2 or 3. Titans number 1, Jags number 2, or swapped, says Maven. So CJ's having a downtrot this year, apparently.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, mostly that's what we got, though. 2 and 3 swap, but most people think Cam's going to move up. Some think Trevor Lawrence is going to move up. Some think he's going to move down. And there seem to be a lot of people in the chat that are naysayers of CJ Stroud. Destin, I want to kick it to you. What changes most about the quarterback ranking following the 2025 season?
Yeah, I'll be pretty quick with it. And it may not be liked what I say, but first of all, I think it's more likely that Trevor Lawrence ends the year as the best quarterback in the AFC South than he ends the year the 3rd best quarterback in the AFC South.
Wow.
I just think the gap is a little bit smaller, and I just think we're not putting enough weight into – we talked about C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels, and you look at the style of quarterback that they are during college. I think Cam Ward's a little bit takes a little bit more risk, which is a good and bad thing. But I think when you go into rookie season in the NFL, like I think there's going to be a little bit more bumps in the road for a guy like Cam than Stroud and Daniels, which is not a bad thing. Again, I think you're going to have those bumps to get to where I think he can be, which I think can be a very special player. So for me, I'm going to say the most likely way that this ranking can change by the end of the year is going to be that technically whoever the Colts starting quarterback ends up having a quote unquote better statistical season than Cam Ward and ends the year 3rd, and Cam Ward ends the year 4th.
Gross.
But I'm going to say also, I think the most likely situation is that the ranking stays pretty much the same as we have it. But I think Cam Ward can end up having the 4th best statistical season, quote unquote, in this division. And I don't think it has to really matter all that much because I think you can have those bumps in the road as a rookie quarterback and you have the better trajectory than somebody who had a better season than you.
Yeah. I think a lot of these conversations are going to come down to what supporting cast you just feel better about for some of these quarterbacks, right? I mean, and that's typically what it comes down to.
The rest of the 3 in the AFC South over Cam Ward, if that's what we're talking about.
I mean, and we'll get to the rest of that.
That's what we're about to debate right now.
We're about to transition to the supporting casts here moving forward, absolutely. But I mean, it really does come down to it. I mean, you obviously feel great about, and without divulging too much, but like, right now, you feel a lot better about the Houston Texans skill position than you do about their offensive line that's going to be in front of CJ Stroud, for instance, right? Indianapolis Colts, have a solid supporting cast. It's just, do you have the right guy in at quarterback? Ultimately, every one of these teams has kind of those peccadillos that you just kind of work through and say, I'm not sure, right? Like Cam Ward, rookie year. I think this is my biggest fear, Easton, right? Is that Cam Ward has an up and down rookie year, and that the excitement about him in the chat that we're seeing now completely turns, and everyone calls him a bust after year one, like they always do at quarterbacks. But I just, it's really going to matter in 2025, just about how you believe in the offensive play calling around you and the support systems around you. That is really going to determine what these lists ultimately look like. Because I think a couple of these guys are just really packed together very tightly.
I'm not worried about that one bit, because I think you're way underestimating the ability of NFL fan bases to ride or die with their no. To be unreasonable in the other direction. To be unreasonable in the other direction. To go full, Vikings, JJ McCarthy, like defend our guy to the death, the way that Colts fans have been with AR up until it's become untenable to do so. Once you get a guy that you draft really highly, fans will just, they will be bitter clingers to the end on that guy, and they will defend him no matter what. And they will throw whatever coach or receiver or offensive lineman under the bus that it requires to narratively defend that guy. So we are going to talk about the supporting cast, and I'm excited to talk about our disagreements here. But first, I got to tell all of our friends here on the program about our friends at Holiday World and Splash and Safari. Ryan, this is my favorite read to do each week, because I love Holiday World. I have been more times than I can count in my life, and they are celebrating 25 years of free, unlimited soft drinks in 2025. Just one of the number of ways that Holiday World is perhaps the most enjoyable and pleasant park experience in America, dare I say, in the world. Having free soft drinks all day is fantastic, and you can get your tickets at holidayworld.com using our promo code ATOZ to get a bonus $5 off of each of your tickets. Their opening day was May 10th, so they have been up and operating full capacity. The water park, the theme park, everything is a go right now, and they're known for a lot of things. Their earliest days as Santa Claus Land, their 3 wooden coasters, being voted the cleanest park in the world for 20 years running, and being home to a gravy-themed family roller coaster. But they're also known for being number 1 for family fun, so book your 2 or 3 day visit to Holiday World and Splash Safari, which I will vouch for the fact that you can absolutely make a 2 or 3 day weekend out of this park. You will not be able to see everything in one day. They have just that much stuff to do. Do it this summer. Stay in their new resort, Santa's Cottages, just 2 miles away. You can shuttle bus in, not have to worry about transportation. Free soft drinks, free parking, free sunscreen. Holiday World and Splash and Safari, just a short drive away from Nashville. Sneaky close up there in Destin's neck of the woods in Indianapolis, or near Indianapolis, 2.5 hours north of Nashville. Just a straight shot up 65. So go and visit our friends at Holiday World and Splash and Safari this summer.
Make sure after the show, folks, if you can, because don't click out now, but after the show, if you want to go to Google, make sure that you give a 5-star Google review. Really helps us out. Obviously, the algorithm and all that type of stuff. But more than anything, lets us know what you guys like, what you guys would like improvements on. Put your most constructive criticism in there if you like, but make sure that it is attached, as always, to a 5-star review.
Like the show. Please hit like.
The show. No.
We can see the like numbers, and frankly, I'm a little disappointed on a Friday. We can do better than this.
It's kind of pitiful, because
we can do better than this.
Takes less than half a second to click the like button. It really does.
It costs you nothing. It's free.
Exactly. Like, you literally get no downside from hitting that like button, other than maybe coming on your feed a little bit more.
Maximum
but
upside.
Might be a good thing. I don't know.
I feel like I'm selling penny stocks and I'm trying to beg for likes. It's free real estate. No downside risk. Maximum upside potential.
I never realized until about 6 or 7 months ago how close Indiana and Tennessee are to one another, by the way.
Yeah. Just a hop and a skip.
Just a hop and a skip.
That's why we love the combine in Indianapolis. Never move it.
Yeah. We're going to move into the rest of the supporting cast here, and we're going to go to another position that there wasn't too much disagreement on. So we're going to kind of work through it a lot quicker than quarterback. By the way, just going to work offensive position rankings today. We're doing a audible on the fly, because that quarterback conversation, which we should have known was going to be a good one, right? We should have known it was going to have a little bit of a duration there. But we're going to just do offense today. We'll probably have to have Destin back on. Put in the chat right now. Do you like Destin as a host right now? Do you like him as a guest? Do you want him to come back on to talk defense in the AFC South? Support him as well in the chat right now. Let's go to wide receivers. This one, same exact ranking again. So this as follows, starting from number 4. We have the Tennessee Titans at number 4. Both Easton and Destin agree with these. The Indianapolis Colts come in at number 3. The Jacksonville Jaguars at number 2. Number 1 is the Houston Texans. That is just the wide receivers, by the way. We're not injecting tight ends into this conversation. This is not a pass-catching conversation. That is just the wide receivers. So, Destin, I'm going to start with you and kick us off here. There's agreement here, so not a heavy debate back and forth. But my biggest question for you is, of this, Texans 1, Jaguars 2, Colts 3, Titans 4 at wide receiver, what was the most interesting debate for yourself on? Was there one that you were like, I maybe want to put them at 2, maybe want to put that? What was the biggest debate in your head on making these rankings, if there was any at all? Maybe there wasn't.
I mean, it was one of the easier ones to do for me.
It's not easiest. This is the easiest group.
I don't
know,
man. I don't know. I didn't have to put almost any thought into quarterback. I really didn't.
Quarterback just fair, fine.
Quarterback just free flowed onto the page for me. Receiver, to me, it was like 1 and 2 were it was gonna be Texans, Jaguars. 3 and 4 was gonna be Colts and Titans. So if there was any debate, it was like, could either of those flip? I feel very comfortable with where those 4 are. I think the hardest one would be just like the projection aspect with what Travis Hunter's role is going to be in Jacksonville. How many snaps is it going to be at receiver? Because, I mean, personally, I had Travis Hunter as my number 1 receiver in this draft class. I think he's that talented. You put that next to Brian Thomas, and who was fantastic during his rookie season. I think there's a very, very good possibility that we end the year, and that's the best 1-2 punch in the AFC South at receiver. So that makes it a little bit difficult, I guess, but I'm just not 100% sure how many snaps he's going to play at receiver. So the safest bet felt like Nico Collins is the best receiver in the AFC South. I think they have 9 receivers they've decided to make rosterable. So the room is just deep with talent.
As a Tennessee Titans guy, I'm rubbing my hands together waiting for cut down day, because they're going to cut some decent receivers.
I don't understand it.
They're going to have to cut some decent receivers.
Well, I truly do not understand it.
Can we put this into the conversation then? Because Big Ten Jeff had a question of, who does CJ Stroud even have? Tank Dell is hurt.
Big Ten Jeff loves to give us crap, so I'm gonna drag you through the mud on this one, Jeff. You're not paying attention. Like, this is embarrassing. Who does he not have? This is the deepest wide receiver room in the entire league. Okay, Tank Dell is hurt. You're right, and so even if he's not a factor at all this year, which we don't think that he's going to be. Who cares? Doesn't matter. They're good. Okay. We know that they have in my opinion, at this point, a bona fide top 10 receiver in the league in Nico Collins. Like, I think that he is still underrated by a lot of AFC South fans. Nico Collins is the ish. He's awesome. He's a clear high end one. And then behind them, they got greedy and took both Iowa State boys on day 2 of the draft. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, welcome to the party. Both of those guys capable of being NFL starting receivers, and good ones at that. And then you've got Tank Dell, who's hurt. Christian Kirk, who they traded for, who's an NFL caliber starting receiver.
Who had almost 1,000 yards 2 years ago, right? It's like maybe your 3rd or 4th receiver.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And then John Mechie, who's somebody that has shown some promise after he's gotten over his leukemia diagnosis, and I think still an ascending player. This room is outrageous. Now, if any of them could play offensive line, please go and let D'Amico Ryans know, because he's desperate. And we're going to get to that in a minute. I'm not sure any of these guys are going to matter because of that. But if they can protect CJ Stroud even a little bit, it's going to be ridiculously hard to defend this passing attack.
I mean, there's going to be guys that hardly see the field in this Houston receiver room that would be potential starters in some other teams in the AFC
They'd
South,
be receiver 2 easy on the Tennessee Titans. Easy.
That is what I was going to ask you almost, is like, when you're looking at the Tennessee Titans, who we both agreed was 4th here, like, if Jaden Higgins or Jalen Knoll end up being receiver 4 with Tank Dell injured, I mean, you probably feel very comfortable with either of them starting in Tennessee.
Of those guys I listed, the only one that I don't think would be receiver 2 pretty easily by the end of the year is John Mechie. Like, I think Higgins, Knoll, Kirk, Dell, and obviously Nico Collins, any of those guys would be at least the 2nd best receiver on the Titans to begin the year.
Yeah, the problem is you can only keep like 6 receivers, and they're going to have 8 or 9 that they have to consider, which is a decision they made to themselves. But very talented room. Jaguars at 2, because that duo has scary potential.
Nasty.
And then the last 2 being the Colts Titans. I'm sure there's some debate on who's the better between there.
There shouldn't be.
And to to me, I think the big thing is you could make the argument, especially last year with what we saw, that Calvin Ridley, who struggled, still had a better season than Michael Pittman did, who played through a fractured back all last season, which people are going to say is an excuse, but just sharing the facts with you.
It's kind of a crazy excuse, actually.
Played through a fractured back pretty much all last season. If you want to call Ridley and Pittman a wash, you can. Like, do what you want to say. Like, say that they even out. The rest of the next three guys are going to go to Indianapolis. And for that reason, it felt pretty easy for me to have them 3 and Titans 4.
Nope. And a question in the chat from Colin just came in. Are we counting Warren in there? Nope. Just wide receivers. We'll get to tight ends here. Yep. We will get in there. Easton, was there any debate in your mind then? Didn't sound like there was too much of a debate.
No. I found this extremely easy. I think that there are country miles in between these teams. Maybe the Titans and the Colts are not that far apart, but it's purely based on projection, right? Like right this minute, I do think they're far apart. It's just I think that the Titans have 2 or 3 or 4 different receivers that are rookies for the most part that I think have promised to, if anything on this list were to flip this year somehow, it would be the Titans, like, 777's jackpot on a couple of guys, and they're just fantastic out of the gate, and it's impossible to be able to say that that's going to happen right now. We just talked about how the Texans are clearly 1. I saw somebody a moment ago ask, like, why the Jaguars at 2 have Brian Thomas and who? Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. Like, good morning. Hello. Welcome to the conversation. Those 2 guys are going to be, I feel as much as I love what the Texans have done and think that they are clearly the number 1 room, I already think that the Jaguars have a better 1-2 tandem. I already do. And I think Nico Collins is incredible and better than both of those players. But Brian Thomas, I think, has all the potential in the world to be a Nico Collins-esque player, to be that caliber of player in year 2 if he takes a jump. And Travis Hunter, I think the world of. So I think that those 2, they could be the best. It could be the best receiving tandem in the entire league. It could. Like, not out of the gate, but like we can get there. For real.
If you told me Brian Thomas Jr. was a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL this year, I would not be shocked at all about it. Like, I think that he's that.
Exactly.
Matt, just think about what he did last year, and everyone knew he was the guy, right? Christian Kirk was banged up all year. You had a rotation at quarterback because of the Trevor Lawrence being banged up constantly, and he still had like 1,300 yards as a rookie, right? That was
and there were like 400 or 500 yards on tape left on the field by drops or overthrows. So he's got 15, 16, 1,700 yard, 12 touchdown potential this year, sharing time with Travis Hunter. And then the Colts, by the way, the reason the Jaguars are 2, yes, their tandem's awesome. Beyond those guys is a bunch of nothing, right? Like it's De'Ami Brown, who they paid too much money to, and that's about it in that room. And then the Colts, here's the backhanded compliment on why I think the Colts are clearly number 3. Is that I think a big part of the reason Titans fans or anybody who thinks this Colts room is bad has a lot more to do with the fact that they've had really crap people passing them the ball all this time. Like, I think if this group had even a league average quarterback last year or the year before, you'd be like, wow, the Colts have a pretty nice group, because Alec Pierce is he is what he is. He's kind of gadgety, but the trick works. Like, if he's a one-trick pony, it's a good trick. So I don't know what to tell you on that. Josh Downs, I think, may be the best pure receiver on this team. Like, I love Josh Downs and think that he's really fantastic.
Healthy.
Yeah. And then Michael Pittman is what he is. Like, I don't love him as a 1. I think he's a really high end 2. I think he's a low end 1, but he's a steady Eddie, consistent NFL caliber X receiver, which is hard to come by. So I think it's a good group that needs decent help passing them the ball. And then the Titans, we've talked up and down on this show. We won't spend too much time on. It's Ridley, and then it's a bunch of guys who need to prove themselves.
Yep. I think the thing with the Colts, and the last thing I'll say, but the fact that we're not doing defense makes it to where I can talk a little bit. But I think the big thing at receiver, and I agree, I don't think Pittman, skill set wise, is someone that you would typically want to be that bona fide number 1 receiver. I think what the Colts have done well is they have built a 4 receiver rotation that really all complement each other really well. They have guys that do a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. Pittman's that guy that has really surefire hands, really really reliable guy who I saw some stuff in the chat. Really has been a guy that stays on the field pretty consistently.
He does.
Like I said earlier, played through a fractured back all of last season. So I would push back on any notion that he misses a lot of games, like I saw in the chat a little bit. And then you look at guys like Alec Pierce, who, like Easton said, a little bit of a one-trick pony. But if I had to have a guy be a one-trick pony, I'd like him to be a guy that stretches the field like Alec Pierce does. Like being able to be a guy that just consistently makes 20-plus yard plays at that rate, it's pretty unheard of, to be honest, in the NFL. I think Josh Downs is one of the more underrated slot receivers in the NFL, and we already used the word reliable, but a very reliable player. And then Adonai Mitchell, young player last year, had his ups and downs, really elite separator. Needs to be better at catching the football, though. Shocker for a receiver that you got to catch the football. But really,
as it
elite
turns
separator.
out, that's an important thing to play wide receiver is catching the football. Some
That
people
is what I've
debate
heard.
that. There's
That
a
is
lot
what
of
I've
fantasy
heard.
football people that be like, I don't care about drop rates. Like, all right, I do care about drop rates. I care about catching the football as a wide receiver person. But last group before we get into the debates here, because this is the other one that we had.
Can I address two comments real quick? I'm sorry, Ryan.
Sure.
We'll keep this brief because I know we're tracking to be over on time. Nick Ewing is on this. I just have to address because he won't stop talking about this in the chat. Because I earlier talking about Trevor Lawrence and begging people to watch the games and not just look at his numbers. Next time Easton brings up stats, we'll say watch the tape, and then I just talk about stats. Right, exactly. Nick said, "Whoa, Easton, I thought stats don't matter." No, you're being silly, Nick. Nobody is saying that the stats don't matter. Nobody is saying that the tape is all that matters. It's about marrying the two, and if you're not finding, here's the bottom line: if you have to make an argument that is entirely predicated on one thing and ignoring the other thing, then your argument's pretty weak, right? Like, I think that if you can't justify what you're saying by looking at both things and being able to explain away differences in those things, then you're making a bad argument. And so I'm not saying that I think Trevor Lawrence is an awesome quarterback because I'm just watching the tape and ignoring the stats, which the stats are in a number of ways bad. That's why I don't say he's an awesome quarterback. It's why I say I think he can be an awesome quarterback because I see on tape what he's capable of despite the stats. And so that's all it is. And so just relax on the stats versus tape. You have to do both of those things for your point to matter, is my point.
I want to say that an NFL scout once told me stats are really cool, stats are really fun, stats are really useful. But if you do not think something in terms of an opinion before looking at that stat, it probably doesn't matter all that much.
Right. Yep. It's a great way of putting it.
It has to
and
match.
Then Jeff says, he wants it on the record, so I'm going to oblige him and put it on the record. Travis Hunter is a corner. He won't be good at receiver in the NFL. Bookmark it. Okay, Jeff, bookmarked. We'll revisit this.
I mean, I think that he could also be an awesome corner in the NFL, but I don't.
You say there is always the option that he's good at both.
Why or when we could have and. And by the way, King VC super chat locked in. Who is this mystery person? Has he locked in and liked the show? Destin, who are you? And have you locked in to like the show this morning?
Have you liked the show? That's a good question.
I am Destin. I have liked the show. And I don't know what it means to be locked in, I guess. It seems like a pretty big thing for this guy. So
it is. It's his whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I guess you'll have to let me know at the end if I locked in. I'll let you decide if I locked in.
Thank you, King VC. All right, Ryan.
We have some debates coming, so we'll see if Destin is indeed locked in. The last one, though, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this one either. That is a consensus across the board is the offensive line. So this, again, ascending order. Indianapolis Colts. Actually, no, this is not a. There's a difference of opinion here. Is there? Oh wait, I'm sorry. There's a typo in your article. I'm sorry. I just put this out loud. For a second.
No.
There's a typo. There's a typo in there. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Destin's part. The consensus, though,
we will fix it.
Houston Texans, according to Destin's ranking, the Colts have the best and the worst offensive line in the AFC South. So that's impressive, man.
Depends on the day. Depends on the day, you know?
Depends on the day. Yes. So we have the Houston Texans at number 4. The Jacksonville Jaguars coming in at number 3. Number 2, this is going to make people happy. Tennessee Titans, second best offensive line in the division. And number 1, Indianapolis Colts comes in as these AFC South offensive line power rankings. Easton, you're drinking the Titans Kool-Aid, my friends. Number 2 in the division.
I am. It's partially faith in what the Titans have built at offensive line. It's partially a a ranking of disrespect to the other two offensive lines. I think pretty lowly of what the Texans and the Jaguars have done. In particular, the Texans. I talked to Destin when we were making these rankings. The Texans being dead last in this rankings were very easy for me. I do not know what their plan is exactly. Their plan was, okay, we're going to rip out at the root the entire offensive line last year because it was bad. Okay, fair enough. Like that involves trading away Laramie Tunsil.
But they didn't. But that's the problem. They really didn't. They just took out the best player from it.
Well, I mean, but it's not. They're not going to have 5 new players. I hear what you're saying, and one of the players they did move on was the best player, even though he has, people say the penalty concerns. Okay, fine, but he's still the best lineman.
4 of the 5 guys that are starting for them this year are probably going to be guys. I mean, unless Ariante starts day one, 4 of the 5 guys that are starting this year are going to be guys that were here last year.
Here, but were they the starters?
I mean, they started games at times. Like they had guys.
It was so in and out. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Fine. My point is they have shuffled the deck. Okay, they've shuffled the deck on this offensive line. They've removed the best player, and they don't seem to have like a plan for now that they've changed things. What the new guys are going to do? Like I just don't. I don't know, Dustin. We seem to not be on the same page exactly. What do you think the plan is for the Texans offensive line?
I don't know.
Wait, they have a plan? They have a plan?
I don't think so.
I think the difference is that I just think we agree, but I think you're underselling. Just like I don't understand what they did here. They saw the offensive line derail a team that had a chance to ascend into a contender status. That's what the Texans had this year. They had the chance to ascend. And this offensive line derailed any option for that to happen. And they are bringing back Titus Howard, who they're moving to guard instead of playing tackle. But he'll be back this year. Jarrett Patterson is going to be back. Juice Scruggs is going to be back. Blake Fisher is going to be back.
A couple Notre Dame legends on that list right there, man. Legends.
And then going from Laramie Tunsil to Cam Robinson at left tackle, like that's what I'm supposed to like get behind is you fixing the offensive line. Like, and even if Ursery comes in and starts at right tackle over Fisher day one, like I just don't understand. I don't get it. I don't. And we talked about earlier that they built a really, really deep receiver room. And it felt like part of that issue that they did was they just like chose to just go deep at receiver when they had opportunities to take other guys to at least give this offensive line some upside swings. Because I just don't think they went that route. Because even though I like Ursery, I think he's more of a high floor, low ceiling type player. I think he's a guy that can come in and be serviceable. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to change the identity of this offensive line. And
he might be a guard, right? Like he there's a possibility he sticks at right tackle, but like he might be a guard. And I think the biggest issue with the Texans overall, outside of just not having a great room, is that they also don't have enough good tackles, right? Like they just don't. They have a bunch of guards.
They don't have enough good. They just don't have enough good players on the offensive line. They just don't. They just don't have enough good players. If Cam Robinson's going to be on paper their best offensive lineman this year, and there's a reason he's jumping around the NFL. Like he's a really good name at this point, but he's a guy that every team he's on, they figure out that he's not worth what they're paying him, and the Texans decided to go out and pay him.
So that's where we disagree. Like I think that 3 of these 5 positions will be new players. Like I think Cam Robinson at left tackle will be new. I think Laken Tomlinson will end up being the left guard, and I do think Ursery, for where they drafted him, they're going to try to get him to start at right tackle. But the fact that we can have plausible differences on the offensive line with the personnel, and we don't feel good about any combination, kind of belies the fact that no matter what they do, whether it's largely new or largely guys from last year who were borderline backups, what's the plan? What's the plan? And there doesn't seem to be one. The Jaguars, like I have very little thoughts on the Jaguars offensive line besides like who do you really like have faith in on this offensive line? Do any of them inspire confidence?
Is Walker Little starting at left tackle? Is that their plan?
Yes, I think so. I don't know.
It seems likely. I mean, I think Anton Harrison had moments last year that were promising. So
I think he's the best player, right?
To me, that's why, like, I don't know. I mean, like they have some guys that have really high floors. Bakari. I think Ezra Cleveland played pretty well down the stretch last year. Like they have some high floor guys, but I think Anton Harrison is that high upside player that I just didn't see on Houston. To me, that was like the big difference when looking at it. Is like I feel like I have some reason to be optimistic about what Jacksonville's building on the offensive line. I don't have any reason to be optimistic about what Houston's building on the offensive line.
Destin, close us out on the offensive line here so we can get to the debates, because I've talked a ton about the Titans' offensive line. Give me your thoughts on the Titans and the Colts at number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think going into it, one of the biggest surprises I had was just how confident I was the Titans were the second best offensive line. Like going into my rankings, I thought it would be close between the 2nd through 4 for me, but going through, it was very evident very early that the Tennessee Titans offensive line was going to be my number 2. I loved the signing of Kevin Zeitler just to like add some stability there, raise the floor of the group. I also think it's going to be a great mentor at the other guard spot for Peter Skoronski, just to learn a little bit about like how he builds his NFL body, how he maintains that. I think that's going to be a great area for him. Obviously, getting Cushenberry back is going to be big. And then I love putting J.C. Latham back at right tackle. That was my really only question about the pick last year, was throwing him at left tackle, where I just didn't feel like that was going to be best for his skill set. I think he's going to be a 10 times better player at right tackle long term. Don't love Dan Moore. Thought they overpaid Dan Moore a little bit, but when you look at what they had at tackle last year, they probably were in a spot where they just needed to upgrade any way they could, and Dan Moore is without a doubt an upgrade from what we saw at the opposite tackle.
Oh, he's an upgrade over maybe the worst player in the whole league last year? You think so?
Yeah, I mean, he's better. He's better than the worst.
And
Bold.
Nicholas Petit-Frere just got cut by the San Francisco 49ers already. So, yes, definitely an upgrade. There's no question about that.
It is
so
hard.
Ryan's saying you guys should re-sign him. That's what Ryan's saying, right?
No.
I mean, he's out there, man. Practice squad worthy? I don't know.
He's available.
Can always use depth.
What I'm
Can always use depth.
But then Colts I have it first. To me, that was pretty much going to be a staple in the AFC South going into this. I think Quentin Nelson's the best offensive lineman in the AFC South, especially now that Tunsil's been traded away. I think Bernard Ryman's probably the 2nd best offensive lineman in the AFC South. And there's an argument that Braden Smith could be the 3rd. I think I'd probably lean towards some other options just for Braden Smith declining a little bit. But I think the Colts have a dual upside of they have players that have solidified themselves as studs in the NFL in Nelson and Bernard Ryman. And then they have 2 upside players that both played really good football last year that they moved off of veterans for. Tanner Bortolini had a really solid rookie season when he had to play in place of Ryan Kelly. They're super excited for him to step in at center. And then Matt Gonzalez is going to be playing right guard, where played a lot of tackle last year. I think he's a way better fit at right guard long term in terms of how his body is built. And they're really excited for him there as well. So I think the Colts have the dual stuff going for them in terms of having a high floor group, but I think they have a really high upside to be one of the better offensive lines in football if these young guys take that step.
You might have the best names in the NFL in the offensive line for the Indianapolis Colts. Like Tanner Bortolini is an elite name, absolutely elite name. Bernard Ryman is an elite name. You know, a lot of good names on that offensive line, 100%. We should rank offensive lines by names next time. That might be a even better.
That's a deep June topic. That's a dig in the bottom of the barrel topic. All right, I'm excited to get to our debates that Ryan's going to walk us through here in just a minute with our last 2 position groups. But first, got to tell the folks about our friends over at the Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine at boneandjointtn.org. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust, and we trust our friends over at the BJ Institute. The institute is located in Franklin, where over a dozen specialists are there who can help you through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab. Their facility is all there on campus to help you with your recovery. They got everything under that one roof for your convenience: clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, rehab. Check them out. Book an appointment at boneandjointtn.org.
Like the show. You can do all of that whether you are listening to us live on YouTube. If you're a Twitcher, if you're on Facebook, make sure you like that show, share the show, get it out on every feed possible, social media wise, send it to every group chat. Make sure that they know A to Z Sports is still live and talking AFC South position rankings this fine morning.
All right. Where do we want to start, Ryan? What do we think the first of these two debate groups is best for us to sink our teeth into?
That's a good question. I mean, I think again, like it's debates, but it's not like crazy debate, right? I'm going to call a little bit of an audible. We had tight end listed next in front of running back, but I actually think that we should go to running back first. I think that
All
that's
right.
the better spot because I just think people kind of like running backs a little bit more. You know, fantasy football people out there, they want to know who the big running backs are to know in the AFC South, I guess. I don't know. So here is the lists, folks, and try to stick with me here. Destin had the running back rankings for the AFC South as follows. Number 4, he has the Houston Texans. Number 3, the Tennessee Titans. Number 2, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And number 1, the Indianapolis Colts. And the other side, we had Easton, who had also the Houston Texans at number 4. But then here's where the slight disagreement happens. Number 3, he has the Jacksonville Jaguars. 2, he has the Tennessee Titans, Homer. And number 1, he has the Indianapolis Colts. He's so locked in, he didn't even hear me call him a Homer. That's how locked in Easton Freeze is this morning.
I'm just ignoring you.
Yes. Number 2 and number 3 are where the disagreements have. So again, Destin has the Jaguars as the second best running back room in the AFC South, while Easton thinks it's the Tennessee Titans. Easton, let's start the conversation here. Why are the Tennessee Titans a better running back room than the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah, I'm very curious to hear Destin's argument here because I don't see any argument, frankly, for the Jaguars being a better room than the Titans. I think that the Titans are a lot closer to number 1 on this list than they are number 3, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's Bashal Tootin love that Destin has. He'll share with us in a minute. I don't know if it's, holding out hope for the tandem of Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne. But with those two, I'm about as close to being out on Etienne and Bigsby as a tandem as I can be. Bigsby has shown some things. Etienne has not for a long while now. Maybe Liam Cohen manages to revive that running game and we saw what he did with Tampa Bay last year, and I will wait to be all the way out until I see some Liam Cohen ball with these guys. But if Bashal Tootin doesn't come in and look like a star out of the gate, I don't know what their upside is really here. And I think the Bashal Tootin's stock has been inflated beyond reality at this point by the fantasy community, who just loves them some Bashal Tootin. So I'm not like crazy high on him being a star out of the gate. And so we'll see about that. I think the Titans have the strongest running back room behind the fighting Jonathan Taylors by far in this division. I think that Tony Pollard last year showed his high end ability as a 1,000-yard rusher, as well as his durability. I think that last year was even underselling what he could be at his best because of the fact that he had to shoulder the weight of this team so much and wasn't able to be used more intelligently, more sparingly at times. And, he finished the last month plus of the season where every week the doctors were telling us that he probably shouldn't play, and then he would play anyways, and he would look about as banged up as he was, but he still was out there producing for the Titans. And then while Tajay Spears has proven pretty unreliable when it comes to the health factor so far, which has been a disappointment, I think that he and Pollard constitute one of, if not the best receiving tandems of running backs in the whole league. I think when used the right way, Spears is a dangerous player in the passing game, and the two of them used creatively, especially in 2-back looks in the passing game, is a really nasty combination. So I just don't, I don't see it. Actually, I think, I don't know if this is a typo as well or what, but I think we disagreed on who number 4 was. I think the Jaguars are the 4th best. I think they have the worst running back room in this division. So I don't know, Ryan, if you were reading from our list.
I read yours incorrectly. You have the Texans at number 2, so that is my fault.
Yeah, we agree, Destin and I, that the Colts have the best room because Jonathan Taylor is the highest end running back in the division. But I have Titans, Texans, Jaguars in that order, and Destin has Jaguars, Titans, Texans. So we're all over the place there. He has the Jaguars as the second best room. I have the Jaguars as the 4th best room. My reasoning on the Texans being 3rd is just that in a 1-to-1 coin flip between Joe Mixon and Tony Pollard, I'm taking Tony Pollard. And even if you think Joe Mixon is the slight favorite, I would then ask you who behind Joe Mixon is. Like, who else is playing for this team? Like, I don't think they have any semblance of depth at running back on that team.
All right, so
Yeah.
Destin, to kick it over to you, first two-part question. One is, how close of a debate was the Jaguars versus Titans? And two, what gave the Jaguars the edge over the Tennessee Titans, in your opinion?
Yeah, the debate was really close, and it's a lot to do with we're projecting for this season and where we're at right now, going into it, and just like what I think they're going to do. To me, the Texans and Titans, Pollard and Mixon, both really falled off a little bit near the end of the season. They struggled to end the year, and I think what I put in the article is they kind of limped across the finish line a little bit in terms of where they started. I thought Mixon started the year obviously on a heater. In terms of scoring and how many yards he was able to put up to begin the year. Looking at it for Pollard specifically, into the year, 22 carries, 62 yards, 0 touchdowns, 8 carries, 35 yards, 0 touchdowns, 17 carries, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. It was a rough end of the year. Had a 100-yard game right before that against Jacksonville, but then 8 carries, 35 yards before that against the Commanders. So struggled near the end of the year. And Mixon had a very similar – I think Mixon actually struggled even more than Pollard did near the end of the year. And those two are pretty much going back into like very similar situations in terms of what they're going to be doing and asked to do. I think with the Jaguars, what I like about it is they have 3 guys that I really think are going to be in a better situation this year than last year. Obviously, Tutin's a rookie, but that just improves what they were asked to do. I don't think ETN or Tank were put in really solid situations last year by the Jacksonville coaching staff, especially ETN. This use last year of trying to turn ETN into this like bruiser running back out of nowhere was strange to me. It made no sense to use him in so much short yardage situations, asking him just to bulldoze linebackers like that's ever been his game. And I'm really excited to see what Liam Cohen, who has worked with some running backs that have the ability that ETN has. I just think the room as a whole, in this new offense and what they're going to be asked to do. I understood that I was projecting a little bit, and I will see if I'm right or wrong in the end. But to me, I really like the roles that the Jacksonville running backs are going to get put in. And I just saw Joe Mixon struggle down the stretch, and I saw Tony Pollard struggle down the stretch last year. So I have concerns there.
So we are running over time a little bit. So let's run over to the tight end position here because this is our last disagreement of the show. So Easton's group for the tight end position for the AFC South, we have number 4, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 3, the Tennessee Titans. Number 2, the Houston Texans. And number 1, the Indianapolis Colts. Destin actually agrees up top with Easton. So he thinks the Colts are also number 1. He believes the Houston Texans are number 2. The debate comes from Destin has number 3, the Jacksonville Jaguars, number 4, the Tennessee Titans. So that 3 versus 4 conversation is the debate here in the tight end room. For obviously for the Tennessee Titans, Chig Okonkwo. I said it well on a live stream there. So there you go. You got Chig, you got Gunnar Helm, Josh Wiley. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, obviously they are led by hopefully year 3 breakout Brenton Strange out of Penn State a couple years ago. I'm going to let Destin start us off here for the debates because obviously, again, we're a little bit of a Tennessee Titans slant on this show, just a little bit. So probably going to come off, they're not going to be too happy with this answer. But for you, Destin, why are the Jacksonville Jaguars ahead of the Tennessee Titans?
I just have a reason to believe that Brenton Strange can elevate into a player that I just don't think Tennessee has. Strange is entering as his first year as a starter, had a lot of flashes this past year, and is going into an offense that I think is going to use the tight end in a more creative outlet. There's already a lot of spark in training camp that this guy's turning heads. I'm just higher on Brenton Strange than I am anybody that Tennessee has. I like Chig, but he's just all right to me. I don't think he's a guy that is ever going to be a game-changing tight end. It would just fine. Most of the league is average tight ends at this point. But I just think that's what Chig is going to be at this point. I think Britton Strange has real upside to be a game changer. And to me, that gives him the leg up in that conversation. It was close, but at the end of the day, I'm projecting that Britton Strange is going to be a significantly better player than what Tennessee has.
Easton, do you have belief in Bretton Strange, and why do you believe the Tennessee Titans are better than the Jacksonville Jaguars at tight end right now?
I mean, like, belief in him to be what? I think that he's an ascending player. I think that he's a starter in the NFL. I don't think he will ever achieve his draft capital. Like, I think that he will forever be an overdrafted role-playing tight end. I don't see him. I don't really see any alpha upside to him, especially in the pass game. Like, I don't see that, to be honest with you. I was a lot closer to making the Titans number 2 on this list than I was to making them number 4, because frankly, back to the stats thing, purely based on stats, as mediocre as I think we all agree Chig can be, and as up and down, like he just is what he is at this point, which is a streaky, inconsistent receiving threat who, when he's really good, and when he's not, he's really not. And he tends to disappear. And so, like, if he was consistent, I think it'd be a different conversation, but he's not. He and I'm totally blanking on names now. I'm just who the starting tight Dalton Schultz. He and Dalton Schultz have had relatively similar seasons the past couple of years. So I don't really know what that now. Using my eyes, I see Dalton Schultz as a better tight end than Chigakonkwo, more consistent tight end than Chigakonkwo. But I also see that he's playing for a significantly better quarterback situation than Chigakonkwo is. So I don't think it's that big of a leap from the Texans to the Titans. I think, based on potential, the Titans are the second best tight end room in this division to me. But we're not ranking. I was not ranking based off pure potentials. That's why I have them third, and kind of a third, and let's wait and see to make them number 2. If they hadn't gone and drafted a tight end, I would probably, this would be a different conversation for me, because I don't have a whole lot of faith in Josh Wiley at this point in his career. He's not really a part of the equation here for me at all. Gunnar Helm, I think, is somebody that is being underrated by Destin and maybe others as a guy that frankly could take the mantle of this room by the end of the year. I do see alpha upside with him. He was the Longhorns' leading receiver last year for good reason. He's somebody that just knows how to be a productive NFL or a productive offensive player, and I think that's going to work in the NFL as well. His athleticism isn't going to blow you away. Like he doesn't have a trait that you're like, here's what you hang your hat on. He's incredible at this thing. But what he is incredible at is producing. And I just think that that's going to translate. And I think that based on talking to the coaches and seeing him at practice so far, they're really bullish on his ability to take over this room eventually.
Well, and then Destin, I'm gonna hit it back to you for, I don't even know if I want to call it a rebuttal, but just kind of your thoughts on overall Gunnar Helm. But I want to ask Easton, so is it fair to say that it's not so much Okonkwo, versus Bretton Strange, it's more the depth that is the tipping point in that conversation for you?
Destin?
Easton?
Oh, you said
Yes.
I heard Destin. I heard Destin, and I was sidetracked reading the comments.
He did start with me on a different question.
I was going to go back to him. That was my fault. That was
it's fine. I tuned out.
Terrible
that's on me. So repeat the
I'm
question.
So handsome.
That's for me.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. All right. Yes.
You're only
the
here for the
question
looks.
was, so is the difference between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans room, in your opinion, is it more Okonkwo versus Bretton Strange, or do you think more of the tipping point is your belief in the depth behind the perceived tight end one currently? Easton.
Yes. Sorry. My ADD is really showing this morning. It's really showing this morning. I heard the question this time. I am confident is such a strong word. I do believe in the depth. I do. And that's the thing that the differentiator between the Jaguars and the Titans, that was it for me, because with Bretton Strange, it's a pair of like retread role playing dirty work tight ends behind him. It's Johnny Munt, and who else is in that room? Johnny Munt and Hunter Long. So, let that inspire whatever confidence.
Boston College great Hunter Long.
Let that inspire any confidence that you choose to draw from that. For me, it is not much. With the Titans, I do see the depth insofar as much as I'm not crazy about what the Titans have in the tight end room. I do think that all three of the guys that we've mentioned this morning are capable NFL rotational players at their floor. And so I think that's going to, and not just in the dirty work game, as a receiver as well. So a roundabout way of saying, I think the Titans' depth and high-end starting ability, especially as a receiver, clears the Jaguars pretty comfortably for me. And with the Texans, their depth is fine. I'm trying to remind myself of who they have behind Schultz. It's Jordan Brevin and
Stover, Luke Lachey out of Iowa.
Jordan. Yeah, Luke Lachey. How about that? Yeah, Stover and Jordan are fine. And so that's mostly banking on Schultz just being I think a half tier above the rest of these guys.
Yeah. So Destin, to go back to you now. So this one is for Destin. I'm going to be a much better better moderator here on out. So the question that we have for you, if you read the
that was totally my fault for just
No. That was honestly my fault. I will take accountability for that one. That was 100% my fault. So
as long as we all agree it was not my fault.
It was definitely not your fault. I agree. It was definitely not your fault. Yeah, it was definitely not your fault. So the offensive position rankings went live yesterday evening at A to Z Sports for the offensive position rankings. I read them last night. And one thing that I take away that I want you to just kind of talk about for a second here is, so one of the differentiators from what I read for your analysis was that for the Tennessee Titans, you don't seem to be quite as high as maybe Easton is on Gunnar Helm, right? The rookie tight end out of Texas. So I just want to give your perspective on Gunnar and what is a more reasonable expectation for him as a rookie tight end in the NFL?
Well, first of all, I think the expectation for rookie tight ends more often than not is the tight end struggle early in their career. Not everyone comes in being Brock Bowers. Those are pretty one-of-ones actually. The more I watched Gunnar Helm during the process, and this was even before he was drafted by the Titans, which people can believe or not believe. If you want to go look at my draft coverage, you'll see it. The more I watched Gunnar Helm, the more concerned I was about him being that lead receiving tight end in the NFL. Texas got made it very evident that they were going to scheme him open on just about every single down. And that's a lot of expectation to put on an NFL play caller, especially with a young quarterback, especially with receivers that you're wanting to get into the game as well, young receivers that Tennessee has that they're going to be trying to figure out. I just don't see a world where Gunnar Helm is ever going to be that alpha in a tight end room without being just heavily schemed open. And I don't think Brian Callahan should be expected to put that much emphasis on getting Gunnar Helm open, in my opinion. I don't think Gunnar Helm's a guy that is going to go out there and just separate at a high level. I think he's a very smart player. He breaks off his routes pretty often. He'll put himself in the right spot if a defense gives him an opening. And I think he's much better after the catch than he is before the catch. But I just am I'm skeptical of him being able to put it together as a receiving threat. If you look at the numbers and just say, well, I think Chig and Helm combined are going to have more production this year than just Strange, I can get that, and I can get behind that. I just put Strange above the Tennessee Titans in the end because I really see an outlet where Strange elevates himself into a conversation of being a game-changing tight end, and I just don't see that in Tennessee. And maybe it's because our disconnect on Gunnar Helm, and that's fine.
So Easton actually has been on record on the show of saying that he thinks that Gunnar Helm is going to be the best rookie tight end in the division. Who is Tyler Warren? Never heard of him. So there we go.
Wait. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I'm pretty sure Easton does rank the Colts 1 with me.
I do.
So, and again,
it's literally just one guy. It's not the depth. It's not anybody else in that room. It's the guy.
Well, there is no depth. So I get it.
Exactly.
And I think, and we agreed on it, so it's probably not going to take that long to talk about. But I did just talk about how it's hard for rookie tight ends to come in and produce, and I still believe that. There's just not a lot of production in this division at tight end overall. So it's not going to be that hard to come in and be the best tight end. And I think it's hard to look at this and say that Tyler Warren isn't going to come in and be better than Dalton Schultz, better than Chigakonkwo, better than Brenton Strange. I think I think the Colts just don't have any other tight ends in the room. So you could argue, man, he was used in such a rare way at Penn State. The Colts probably could use him in pretty similar ways because they just don't have any other tight ends to put on the field at times. Mo Cox is going to be the blocking tight end, and there's somebody talking about Mo Cox.
Sorry,
but the rest of the room, I mean, there was not a single tight end on the Colts roster last year that had more than 200 yards. That is the truth of last year's season. And Mo Cox was one of those tight ends on that team last year. Believe it or not. There was a reason that the Colts were so linked to tight ends in this draft class. Just about every mock draft you saw probably had a tight end taken in the top 2 rounds, most of them in the top first round. And so I just think the snaps are going to be there for Warren. And I think Tyler Warren's a special type of player. And I'm excited to see how Shane Steichen uses him.
And even if Tyler Warren has like 60 catches for like, let's say 650 yards as a rookie, it would be deemed a disappointment for the number 14 overall pick, but it would still probably be the best tight end in the division.
Pretty easily.
Right?
Pretty easily. I mean, Dalton Schultz last year has less than 600 yards last year, and we have him at number 2 in the division right now.
And Chig had like 51 catches for 400 something yards. I mean, I guess he could have a bump, but I mean,
he'll have a better quarterback this year.
To your point, I don't think the bar is that high for being the best tight end in that division. Is the commentary there?
Yeah, of all the first places that we gave out today, this one probably is the least impressive. Just because to be first at tight end in this group of this division isn't that hard. It isn't that hard. When you're the 14th overall pick at tight end, you would expect that's the expectation for you.
All right, fellas. Well, we got through the offense, and I'm executive decision. This feels wrong, but we're going to cut good news just because we've gone so long today. The good news that we have is that we have a defensive side of the ball to talk about maybe next week. So we're going to have Destin back, which is good news for us. This was an enjoyable time. Enjoyed the 3-man weave. Destin, thank you for joining us this morning. Ryan, thank you for being so beautiful and handsome and good looking. You weren't really helpful in any other way. We just hired you for your looks, so we thank you for that. And we will be back on Monday. Not the 3 of us, but the 3 of us will be back at some point next week, hopefully. We're going to talk about that as soon as we get off the air here. But Austin and I will be back next week. Mandatory minicamp. That's what starts with the Titans next week. So excited for that. Tune in all of next week for updates on that. And then eventually we'll get to the defensive position group rankings article, on which will be live at some point here in the next couple of minutes, maybe an hour. So look out for that on A to Z sports.com. Until then, for Destin and Ryan, I'm Easton. We'll talk to you next week.